over again.
I know.
Hi,
For people,
Miriam. I can see someone I know. Hi,
oh
Miriam.
great, oh great. So for
How
people
are
who
you
don't know,
doing?
Olusore and I went to the same secondary school. She was the head girl, and I think I was social prefect. Sandra is here too. She was also in our class, and we were
Yeah, I
all
think we're
like
same set. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
oh no, especially during our work period, like we were
Yeah, that was
all
really good.
unbreakable. It was one of the best times of my life, I must tell you.
Oh,
That
really?
time when we
Amazing.
had that bond, the
Yeah.
day, everybody, it was really amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you,
Hi,
Sherry, for
Sandra.
joining. So as I was
No
saying,
worries.
I was talking about the book already, just to keep
Okay.
everybody excited. But if you're just joining today, we're talking about Audacity, the faith to build a career abroad. So I'm just going to get right into it, so I don't spend too much time, so we have enough time to talk about what we need to talk about. Let me just tell you guys a bit about Olusore. Olusore is an agile delivery consultant, passionate about empowering people and teams to deliver meaningful value. With a bachelor's in psychology from the University of Lagos and a master's in clinical psychology from the University of Hertfordshire. I hope I pronounced that well. She has over 5 years of experience across banking, energy, telecoms, technology, and FMCG. A two-time UN delegate on youth health and rights, Olusore is recognized for her problem-solving skill, resourcefulness, and the ability to turn ideas into practical solutions. She co-founded Dreamboard, the initiative, and Handmaiden, both focus on human capital empowerment and an advocate for women's rights, health, and education. Welcome, Olusore. Thank you so much for
Let's welcome
joining.
Olusore, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining. And we're so sorry for keeping you waiting.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
sorry. No
yeah.
worries.
Okay. So today, like I was saying, that we're talking about, this topic was gotten from a chapter of the book, chapter 7. Literally, you and I talked about it for a bit.
Yeah.
The topic of the chapter says, get a career, focus on your purpose. So, the reason why I decided to do this is because I know, like, I remember when we were I think you just finished uni, and then you did like a video where you're trying to get a scholarship and you're trying to get people to vote for you, I think. And I remember saying, oh my gosh, she's so brave, because you were really intense about it. I think I saw that video on Facebook. I saw it on Facebook, and you were hard at it, and you carried us along, because the moment you got it, you communicated, and I have seen how, like, you've done so much. So that was one of the reasons when I was praying about it. I was like, God, who do I bring on this platform? My mind went to you. A lot of people are trying to start a career. A lot of people are trying to move abroad. A lot of people are trying to get scholarships. A lot of people are trying to do a lot of things. But there is this sense of impossibility, especially when you don't have mentors. Do you get what I mean? So sometimes when you don't have people who show you that it's possible, you tend to stay in the place of impossibilities. It takes somebody who is very, consistent, and who is very strong, to say, okay, I really, really want to do this, and I am going to do it. And it is not easy. And you stay consistent in the journey. So I'm very excited to have you here. Thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. So I'm going to give a little context on the book so that you understand the kind of questions I'm asking. So if you're just joining, my name is Karen. I'm the author of the book How to Be Single. And How to Be Single is a book that talks about healing, self-discovery, getting to know yourself and finding purpose before marriage, because I believe that everybody should understand who they are. If you understand who you are, you'll be able to even understand who you should be with, because marriage is a purpose partnership. So a lot of people don't understand who they are, and then you don't know who you should be with, because at the end of the day, you want to be with somebody. I was talking to my friend the other day. She said, we said, I want to be with somebody who I wake up tomorrow and say, baby, I want to run for presidency, and you say, go, let's do it, because we become different people. At the age of 40, I'm going to be a different person. I need somebody who has the emotional capacity to handle all of who I would become, and I want to be married to somebody who when he transitioned, I'm able to accommodate that. So, but if you understand your essence and your purpose, you are able to do that. So I draw from the book of Ruth as well. You know how Ruth left, everything she knew, and then she went with her mother-in-law, and she could have just sat at home and say, you know what, let's just be here. But she decided to get something to do. And as she was doing that, that was when Boaz saw her. And you saw how she was able to grow and eventually got married to Boaz and everything. So, and in the book I talk about how I had to start over again. In 2019, I was jobless. The entire 2019, I was jobless, and it was like in 2018 it felt like I was trying my hands on a lot of things, but I wasn't doing things right, because every time I want to do this, something would happen, something would happen, something would happen. So it felt like I needed to really take time to understand what God needed me to do. And the moment I understood it, it just seemed like everything started to go up from there. I went viral on Twitter in 2020. This is the Twitter I've been in like for over a year, talking and yapping. But because in that moment I already understood that God wanted me to transition, I just tweeted, I'm looking for a job. This is what I can do. And before you know, people started offering me a job. This is me that has been jobless for over a year, nothing. And then just one tweet, after understanding that God had a better plan for me. So I'm just going to dive right into it, because I know everybody is curious about, hearing what you have to say. So, Olusore, I want to talk about bold decision. On bold decision, Ruth left familiar to start afresh. What gave you the audacity to take that leap? Because I remember, when we were friends, you never really talked about going abroad. I don't think it was something you really talked about. I know you've always been passionate about doing everything that you're doing now, but I don't think that it was a conversation. So what gave you that audacity to say, you know what, I'm going to take this leap?
Um, Thank you for the question, and thank you everyone for taking time of your Sunday evenings. I know how precious Sunday evenings are. So this means a lot to me that you're here to listen. So you've said quite a number of things with regards to being single, with regards to finding purpose, and I just want to chip a few things in those regards before I answer the question on what gave me the audacity, or what made me push for more. Right. I think singleness is a state of mind. It's not really a. It's not. It's not a. It's a phase as much as a state of mind. If you check the book of Genesis, when God created, He created a male, single, female, single, and at no point did God instruct man to lose that sense of singleness. It's a state of uniqueness, it's a state of wholeness. So even when you are married, you are still supposed to be single, have that state of wholeness, have that state of uniqueness. You do not now lose yourself because you are now in a relationship or because you are now married. So when I know that God also put that desire in us to be married or to want to be married. So it's taking that desire back, and which is what I did when you know
Yeah.
it's taking that desire back to God and say, God, you put this desire here in me. Help me um navigate this phase that I'm in. And when you meet someone and you eventually get into a relationship and eventually leads to marriage, you do not lose your singleness. That's on singleness. And on purpose, right? God is, I like to think of God as a father. And when you think of a father, or you see a man with his daughter, especially when she's young, you find that the man is thinking ahead. Okay, my daughter, let's assume my daughter's name is Adassa. Okay, Adassa needs to get her diapers. You find that the provision has been made even before Adassa is born, right? And that is how God sees us and treats us as his children. So
Yeah.
when you are in the center of what God wants you to do, you then automatically start to attract the resources for the things that God has already apportioned for you to do. So that's why it's very important that as children of God, and that's why you need to understand your identity as a child of God. You are first of all a child of God before any other thing, right? And when you are in that position of child and you are aligned, so there's the provision for being a child. There's a provision for being a child. There's a provision for a child that is aligned. So because your child is being naughty, you will not say you will not give your child food.
Yeah.
You give your child food. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also the provision for a child that is being aligned to the things, and then you now automatically begin to pull on the resources. Things now begin to find you. And that's why it was easy for you to go viral on Twitter to find a job, because you were in the center
Mm-hmm.
of God's will for you at the time. Not like you were not in the center, but there was a better alignment
Yes. Mm-hmm.
at the time for you to
Mm-hmm.
be able to pull and attract those resources. And now
Yes.
to answer the question, I think for me, I'd always known I was going to go abroad from a very
Okay.
young, from as young as maybe when I was in primary school.
Wow.
It was always a thing for me. I knew it, but I did not know how. I did
Oh.
not know when. But I knew that the opportunity was going to come at some
Mm-hmm.
point. And when
Mm-hmm.
I had settled in my heart that it was going to be 2020, and it was not, I had, before 2020, I had like what, 3 or 4 admissions already before 2020, 2020, that as soon as I finished NYSC, was when I then I said, okay, I want to start trying this thing. This thing has been a dream in my heart, and I want to and in dream, but one of the things that we say is that your dreams are valid. So if you have a dream, you don't sit on your dream. You start to take actionable steps, and that's the way I live my life. If I have something that is tugging in my heart that I want to do, I start to take steps, and then I then it's the agile approach, right? You take iterative and incremental steps, and then you review, and then you plan, and then you go again, and then you plan and you go again. So um I had those admissions. I had tried to go in 2019. I got a scholarship in 2019, but it wasn't just the right time. And so what made me decide to go? First of all, I had a dream that I had carried in my heart for so long. I was running a non-profit where I told young students that they could dream and they could achieve their dreams. So if they could dream and achieve their dreams, why couldn't I
Yes.
dream
Mm-hmm.
and achieve my dreams?
Mm-hmm.
And then third, I am surrounded by so many great women and men, or great people, that I see them living to the fullness of their potential, you know. And I think this is a message that Apostle Man preached, that made this statement more popularized this saying that, oh, if you're the poorest person among the rich people, then you're a rich person. Or if you're the richest person around the poor people, so if you are surrounded by greatness already, then it's you'll be walking out of character if you are
Mm-hmm.
not exuding greatness in the things that you do, if you're not reaching or daring for bigger, greater, bolder things, right? So for me, those are the things that gave me um I believe that, I remember when I was 7, I had like this confession I used to say about going abroad for my master's, and I served in 2017. So that was 3 years from when I eventually went. And I used to say, God owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. Surely he can sell some of those cattle to send me to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say that a lot, that what, God is going to fund this, there's going to be provision, so I didn't just wake up in 2020 to say that, oh, I want to go abroad. It had been a dream. I think it must have been when I was 6 or 7,
Wow.
that had been a thing, and I had carried it, I had nurtured it. At different times there were opportunities, but it wasn't the right time. So yeah.
So when you say it wasn't the right time, what do you mean? Because how do one identify the right time to make such a big move?
Okay. Right time means different things for different
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And right time is the constellation of preparation and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
When the right preparation and the right opportunity, when there's that convergence, then it's your right time. Everything on the external might not look like it's the right time for you to do certain things or the
Yeah.
right approach. But I believe as children of God, we're led by the word of God and we're led by the Spirit of God. And when there is that green light, I think it's Isaiah 55, that verse 2, that says you will go out in joy and be led forth with peace. So when on the spiritual check you have your peace and your joy, that's a green light for you to go. If you have a peace and you don't have joy, or you have joy, you don't have peace, that's like a yellow light or amber light saying, wait, hold on. So for the longest time, I got a lot of amber light. I never got a red light. A red light means, using the model Isaiah 55 verse 2, when there is no peace and there's no joy, that's a red light, just abort mission. Like there's no show.
Yeah.
But when you have peace and you have joy, it's more often a green light. Things may look very difficult on the external, but when you have peace and you have joy together, it's more often a green light. When you have peace, either peace or joy, it's a yellow. Hold on, there's something more. And for the longest, I recall right after secondary school, I had an opportunity. Someone said to me, oh, I see this your desire to travel abroad. She had given me these books to try to find schools, try to find funding, try to find all those things. But there was a lot of excitement, but somewhere in me, as even as a young child, there was just an hesitation, you know even when I was in uni, when I was 7. But I know that one thing that God did for me to keep that dream alive was he surrounded me by people who also had similar ambitions. So I could see, you know, what I had in what the vision I carried in my mind or in my heart. I could see people living in that reality. And for me, that was enough um permission. If someone can do
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I love
And
what
so
you
I think
said.
that's the spiritual thing.
Yeah.
I want to talk about more physical things. The way
Yes.
I live my life is I want to do something. I've prayed about it. I take action,
Exactly.
and then I start to now morning check. Okay, iterative, incremental. I do this. Okay, what did I do? What did I not do well? What can I improve? So there was a time that I was stuck on personal statements. Oh my God, how do you write a good personal statement? And I was there for a very long time. I write a personal statement, and I hadn't even gotten to, is that baby steps, baby steps. Take one step today, in the direction of where you want to go. So I recall, and it would also influence some of the relationships that you keep, because you don't want to have a dream and you have somebody that keeps talking down or doesn't look like is aligned
Which
to
is
that. Yes, so I recall I was in conversation with a colleague then when I had finished 7 and then I was working, and I was talking about masters. Oh, I want to go to my masters abroad. I was always, so if I'm in a phase where, can you hear me? If I'm in a
yes.
phase where I want something or I
Mm-hmm.
desire something and I've prayed about it, I just always keep it on my lips. I'm always talking about it. I'm always talking about it. So I was talking about it, and it's like, oh, he wants to do his master. I'm like, oh, what schools, what countries are you looking at? What schools are you looking at? And it's like, oh, no, he's not interested in going abroad, though. And I'm like, okay, so in this area of going for
Going
masters, we
up.
can't really, there's no,
Connect. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and that helped me to put the relationship in the right place where it needs to be. So that it's important that you have people around you that, if they cannot support your vision, at least they should not speak down on your
Pick
vision.
down on it.
And yeah, they should not make you feel like you are dreaming too big, you are aiming
Yeah.
too high, you're trying to achieve too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
It should be, the best they can do is to leave you as you are with your dreams. But if
Mm-hmm.
you feel like the relationship in a way is going to be subtracting from what you have, you might as well put your boundaries and your guardrails around those relationships.
Okay, great. I really picked a lot of things from what you said. Number one, the power of relationships. I think I talked about it where, sometimes just being surrounded around the right people who are actually doing great things would inspire you to want to do great things.
Yeah.
But I want to now bring it back to the works of it. Faith without works is dead. And one thing you said is that you said one thing again, that when you pray about something, talk about it. Because if you just keep it inside, you don't know who is the next person that can help you, but be
Yeah.
discerning enough to know who not to talk to about it as
Yeah.
well. So what were some bold steps that you made? Like what, how did you get informed about the scholarship that you took? Why did you do, in case, because there are a lot of young people here who might be listening and say, okay, I want to go and study abroad. What do I do? They don't know what to do. So this is an opportunity to also, inform them.
So you want like actionable steps from what I
Yes,
did?
yes. For
Okay.
someone who wants to go abroad, because I know there are a lot of people now who probably want to do
Mm,
their masters abroad and want a scholarship or something.
mm. So I know that the system has changed widely from
Mm,
when I went. So the first thing I would say is read up on information, what is currently obtainable, um, what countries, I know different countries have different rules, and with immigration globally now, it can be a bit dicey, but find, as long as, one thing I always say to myself and I say to people is, as long as you're in the center of God's will for you,
yes.
and it's your
Mm-hmm.
time to do something, even
Yes.
the clock will work without battery
Mm-hmm.
if it has to work without battery for you to
Mm-hmm.
achieve. That's how much power we have as children of God, right? Bible calls us co-creators with God, so we can, it doesn't mean that you're going to be walking picking up roses. Or you can potentially be walking and be like, oh my God, this is the hardest thing, up until going abroad. It was really hard, that whole process of trying to do the voting, trying to, it was intense. But from my journey, I had always known. So I think I started actively when I was serving. So I used my service year to try to sharpen my personal statement skills. I got all the help and support that I needed. At the time, I found out all the requirements that I needed. Oh, you need to have a valid Nigerian passport, you need to write a personal statement, you need to fill out an application form. So all of that, I was trying my hands every now and again. So when I got back from, and because I told you I was surrounded by people, so I had
Yeah.
a friend who had gone for her master's whilst we were serving. I had a friend that was applying to, the three major continents, yeah, Europe, the Americas, um, and I think Australia. I'm not
Okay.
sure now, or something. So I was heavily gleaning from her knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would do stuff. I'll ask her, oh, can you help look at it? Can you help review? Another thing is you have to be very humble. I mean, you can go and meet someone that you think like you're more qualified than, or someone that, review it, help me check it. Don't be afraid to ask for help,
Yeah.
because if you knew how to do it, you probably would have done it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that shame or pride that comes with asking for help, you need to perish it. And as long as you know someone has the um ability to help,
No, exactly.
you should have the boldness to reach out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Having the willingness is something that you will find out after you have asked them. And what is the worst that you're going to get? You're going to get a no,
Oh,
and you'll
exactly.
find out that that door is closed. Okay, on to the next door. Because that was my approach. I would reach out to anybody and everybody I thought had the ability to help me. And then I got so many no's, and when you get a no, it's like, okay, that door is closed. At least that's one less person for me to speak with. It would be disappointing. It would be very disappointing. You get a lot of disappointment. It would your ego will be bruised every now and then, but ego is just ego. Ego will be all right.
Okay.
You just need to keep it moving.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
so now let's move into career proper, because I mean I know that you work and everything and you have like a career going on. So were there experience, because I know it will not be easy transitioning, doing your masters, choosing to say, did you have like experience? I'm sure you must have, but I mean what you can share that would encourage people. Did you experience a season of setback where everything felt like it was falling apart, and how did you find the clarity to keep moving? Because it's not easy to stay in a place where another man's land, and there are times when you would have like things that are just, it feels like it's above you. So were there moments like that? What can you share, and how did you get the clarity to just say, okay, I'm just going to keep going?
Okay. There have been many moments like that. Right. I always say that there are very few people that know exactly what they want to do. You know, some people say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a doctor." They said that
Mm-hmm.
since they were children, and that
Mm-hmm.
has been what they have grown to be, and they've enjoyed it. But I find that a good number of of people are figuring it out as we go along.
Yeah.
And you know, with moving, I would like to also add that movement is extremely important to growth. So even if you are not changing countries or changing you, there has to be some form of movement or change. You have to change yourself. You have to evolve because you can't remain the same way for too long. You know, it could not. I could beg to ask if you're really really growing, if you're in the same place, the same situation, the same, around the same people, doing the same thing 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you know. So everyone has to do one form of migration or
Mm-hmm.
another. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I would like to speak on, encouraging people to be open to growth.
Mm-hmm.
It can be painful, it can, because the thing is, if you don't grow, then you then start to stink or
Yeah.
remain, you grow extinct
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
of that. So yeah, that's just one aside I was going to add to growth. But in terms of,
Experiences. It can
experiences,
be
it's,
a career transition, like
I
what
mean,
you're
I've
doing right
transitioned
now.
careers so many times in the last few years that I'm just like, okay. So I think I would share right after my master's. So
Mm-hmm.
I did my master's in COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So there were very minimal human interactions at the
Yeah.
time. So it was
Yeah.
all, I think I went to uni about 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So after I finished my master's, something was very apparent to me that I wanted to do psychology in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
not in the clinical, at least for that season of my life. I can wake up tomorrow, and that's the beautiful thing about life. And for me, I think it's one of the beautiful things that coming abroad did for my mind, was the fact that you can always change your mind.
Yeah.
It is so
And it's
liberating.
down. Exactly.
It is so
Exactly.
liberating. You're doing something now, you are not enjoying it. You can always reinvent yourself as long as you're willing to help, you're humble to seek the right guidance. So when that's why, and it has also given me the confidence to try my hands on things, right? I want to get something done. Try it out. What's the worst?
That's going to happen.
You fail. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Failure only shows that you've tried something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was a very funny situation at the time, because I'm like, all I have known is psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I now start to find my way, around? So I did like a mini research. Of course, my master's was in research, so I had that research background. So I did like a mini personal research where I just wanted to find out if um what people. So I was privileged to be, because that's the thing, like when you're in the right place, I was privileged to be in like a community that gave me access to um senior leaders in organizations, and enabled me. So I think it was a conference or something that I attended, and we were put in rooms. That was one of my data points. We were
Yeah.
put in rooms to speak to these very senior leaders, and I had just one question, sorry, which was, what you're doing now, was that what you've always done, or what you always thought you were going to do? And they all said, oh no. Oh my god, I was so confused. I'm like, oh, you were confused. That's interesting. So this confusion thing is not just, it's across board,
Yeah.
right? And they all kept saying it was just me trying out my hands on something, and then I realized, oh, I absolutely love it. I want to build a career here. It was a manager giving me a chance somewhere, and that was the turning point. It was, so I found out that we're all just figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
and nobody entirely has all the answers. We just keep going, and as we go, clarity comes. And that's what I say. Clarity will not meet you on one spot. You have to keep moving. Clarity comes when you start to do one thing. You take an experience, as long as it's legal and it's safe, and you're not doing any harm to yourself or people around you and all of that. Yeah. So you try the opportunity. An opportunity does one or two things to you. Shows you what you could potentially like or build in, or shows you what you never want to do again. And at least that eliminates that option from the list of many things you could do. So either way, it is a win-win. It can be very painful. So I'm not saying that, because I have walked this journey so many times. You
Yeah.
feel like you've mastered it, and then you
Mm-hmm.
face another, excuse me, you face another
Mm-hmm.
situation, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh no, no,
And
right?
it feels like you're starting over again. And devil does this thing where he messes with your mind when you see other people going forward and you're like, hey, God, who sent me message? So like I've also had similar experience, and I share with that ideology because when I started in fashion. I was so passionate about it. In fact, I still have people reaching out to me and saying, I can't believe you no longer do fashion. But I mean, we become different things. I always say it, and I even wrote it. Funny that you said that, because I wrote it in this chapter of the book where I said, I'm trying to look for it, and I said we become different versions of ourselves until we finally become who we are truly meant to be. And so it's funny that you said that, because that's exactly it. Because a
Yeah.
lot of the times we are afraid to make changes in our life. You're afraid to start over again. You're afraid to do you get. But if you're moving in alignment with God's plan for you, you you're not starting over again. You're starting with experience. Because for like 5 years, I was in fashion. I was in Hollywood. I was so sure I wanted to build a career here. But when I got to a stopgap, when God was telling me it was time to transition, and I was still being strong-headed. I was like, I need to, be in this thing, be in this thing. I just noticed that
Mhm.
those were just blocked. Like I would want to
Yeah.
do something, it will not happen. Me that used to get jobs easily, it will not happen. Or maybe somebody would now give me a job, everything will just spoil. So I knew when, and you need to be very intuitive, you need to be very
Yeah.
discerning to
Yeah.
your journey and how God speaks to you, because God speaks to us in different ways. So you
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
very, very discerning. When certain things start to move a particular way, you need to know that it is time. There's a
Yeah.
comment here. Olusore says yes. Yesterday it says yes. Exodus, I think it was when we were talking about a passage. Exodus 23:20 is my favorite passage that reminds us that God's fatherhood and provision. So if you have questions, if you have comments, please drop it in the comment section. We
Yeah.
want this session to be engaging, so we are not just yapping, and we would end soon. So ask your question now so that we don't end. And if you're just joining, thank you for joining. My name is Karen Uzo, and I have here with me Olusore Adefioye. We're talking about the audacity, the bold faith to build a career abroad. And I loved a lot of things that Lushiri have shared, the ability to, surround yourself with the right people. Another thing I love that you said, you went for a conference. A lot of people don't do that. So join organizations, go for conferences, there are a lot of free conferences that you go for, and you just, even being on this kind of life, you get a lot of,
Yeah.
information that could help you make certain decisions. If you're just joining, please make sure you buy the book How to Be Single. It's a book about healing, it's a book about singleness, individualism. And I think Olusore talked about it, and I loved what you said. Even in marriage, you're single, because I always say that. So it's funny that we say the same thing. Even in marriage, you're single, because you need to have a sense of self at all times. And it's funny because one of the things I talked about in the book, where some people would be in relationships and they would have like the same friends with their partners. Like you don't have your own set of friends. You don't have what now happens if that relationship ends, and then you're just like, I'm not against having similar
Mhm.
friends, but you should also have like things going on.
Well, I don't know, but I feel like the way I say it, yourself, your partner is himself,
Mhm.
and then there is a new relationship, which is the marriage. So as
Mhm.
you are growing and your husband is growing, the marriage too should grow.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I believe in this part of Genesis when God made Adam and Eve, and God said to them they were naked and unashamed.
Yeah.
So I believe in that, we as partners, married partners, or
Yes,
caveats,
exactly.
as
Married. So if
as
you're in
the
a relationship, that's different. Maybe I'm getting to
uh,
Europe. That's different.
and if you're in a relationship that is leading to marriage, you
Marriage,
are sure
exactly.
that there's
Mm-hmm.
this, you have to be naked and unashamed. So whilst you are building and growing, your
Mm-hmm.
growth should not impede the growth of your marriage.
Yeah.
Your individual growth should not
Mm-hmm.
impede the growth. So
Mm-hmm.
as you're growing together, make sure you're pulling your new baby, which is the
Yeah.
marriage,
Mm-hmm.
along with you. So whilst you're having your own friends, doing your own thing,
Mm-hmm.
ensure that there is that easy
Togetherness. You guys have
flow.
things exactly
Yes,
that you do
because the truth is, we
together.
don't get into marriage for the marriage to end or for something
Mm-hmm.
to happen.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
where my school of thought, we're in marriage for the long term, right?
Yes.
And everything we build, like Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
start with the end. What do I want the end of this marriage to be? We're old and gray. We have our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. So how do I want to build from now to ensure that, like, walk backwards, right? How do I
Mm-hmm.
want to build from now to ensure that, we achieve that? So it's just to know and no two relationships are the same. So know yourself, know your partner, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of build accordingly.
Yeah, somebody says you have to love yourself before you can love someone else. Absolutely correct. You have to love yourself. You have to know yourself. Know yourself, love yourself, understand your purpose before you can get into a relationship or a partnership with someone else. So I'm going to ask you this, Olusore, because time is running. So what sacrifices or risk did you have to make in order to build your career abroad? You can just give us, something like significant that like, oh man, I had to sacrifice this for, to build this career abroad.
My old self, I think, is the greatest
Hmm.
sacrifice.
Hmm.
And every now and again, you have to reinvent yourself, evolve. You must evolve. And that process is quite, I don't know, it's not the easiest. You need to unlearn old ideologies, old belief systems, old
Mm-hmm.
patterns. You
Mm-hmm.
need to unlearn old mindsets. You need to then now start to, like, it's like learning how to walk
Mm-hmm.
or how to
Mm-hmm.
talk.
Mm-hmm.
You then now start to learn, like, start from how they teach you to write A, uppercase A, uppercase B,
Mm-hmm.
uppercase A, that kind of thing. And you need to
Mm-hmm.
then now learn, and it comes with a lot of humbling, humility. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think for me, that's the biggest sacrifice I have had to make. Admitting that I do not know.
No. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, and it's okay not to know. It's okay. It's okay to say, "Oh, I'm still figuring this thing out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not quite sure, but this is what I know. This is what I can do." Never leave with "I'm not quite sure" and then end it there. You have to also say, "Okay, what are you doing? What are the actions you're putting in
Yeah.
in in in
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
place?" Some other things apart from myself is I've had to take, like, a pay cut to start
Mm-hmm.
join a company to start again,
Mm-hmm.
and I think another thing is that fear of begin again. It can be quite daunting. But um it's also a good place to be if you find yourself in,
Exactly. Exactly.
especially
There's
when you
something.
embrace it.
There was something my therapist was saying. He said, if you are too afraid to go hungry, you never go forward in life. Because that's starting afresh. Sometimes you even have to take free jobs. You have to volunteer. Do certain,
Yes.
especially when you are transitioning into a new career. So it's very
Mhm.
important not to be afraid to start all over again, and to let go of who you are. Because a lot of times I've also experienced that where I've had to let go of my ideologies or the things I thought should be so, or this is how it should be, and just say, okay, oh God, this is where I am. Time to unlearn and relearn, and move in purpose. So I want to bring it down to relationships, because I mean this book is heavy on relationship with self and relationship with other people. And you've talked about one part where you talked about relationship with the right set of people, who have similar goals, similar purpose, or who are very purpose driven, and so it made you believe that it was possible. Have there been instances, and just like do like, I know it's quite personal, you might not be able to share much, but whatever you can share is fine. Have there been instances where you've chosen not to be with a particular person because you felt like the purpose was not aligned? And how were you able to identify it? And was there a moment of pain after that? Because there's sometimes you might really like somebody, but you just sit down and say, I don't think that, or maybe you pray and God says this is not the person. Were there moments of pain,
Okay.
and how were you able to just get over it, like, or move forward from it?
So this is talking relationship
Yes,
now, right?
relationship, because you know we
Okay.
talked about how relationship purpose aligns with relationship. When you understand your purpose in life, it's kind of
Okay.
gives information to who you should date and who you should marry.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I had shared earlier about how someone was
Yes.
masters and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've had my fair share of like the experiences with God actually saying, okay, this is not the person I have for you.
Mm.
And in that moment, it didn't even make any sense because I couldn't see anything on the external that, but I'm a child. That's my number one office. I sit in the office of the child of God. So if daddy says it's not good, I can cry, I can throw a little tantrum, but it's not good,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is understanding my identity in Christ. I think for me that helped me to even sift out a lot of people. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying, there's this thing saying, okay, do not be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. I
Mm.
think the base level is saying, for me personally, and this
Yeah.
is my belief,
Mm-hmm.
the base level for me is the interreligious marriage.
Yeah.
Even amongst people of the same faith, I still don't want to be unequally yoked. And what is being unequally yoked? Someone that doesn't believe what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
someone that doesn't understand my faith and the way I understand it and the way I want to walk with God,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that also helped me to kind of sift out. And then when I then move from then, I then I start to, look at values. What does this person value? What is important to this person? What's this person's ideology?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, because I believe those are like the foundational things. Once you can settle, once there's an alignment in the foundational things,
Yeah.
you can literally build a structure on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, yes, you really did. I mean,
Okay.
basically, what you're saying is that you should have like certain things that are your non-negotiables. First of all, that already protects you, and it has to do with understanding yourself, understanding your faith in Christ, or your values, or your faith in
Yeah.
Allah, or whoever you believe in. Just understanding that this is who I am as a person, and this is the
And this
entirety
is
of who
what
I
I
am.
will not
Not
compromise on. Like I
compromise.
would rather remain single. You know, I used
Mm-hmm.
to say, oh, if this, I dedicate single to Jesus. That's what I typically would say. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were some things that I knew within myself. And I'm not saying this because I didn't like have my fair share of tests and,
Mhm,
oh, could I, would I, maybe I should.
mhm,
There's nothing
mhm,
wrong in it. There are
mhm.
people doing it, but then I
Yeah.
realized that I'm not people.
Mhm, mhm.
I realized that I am me. I'm different. I have my own unique life, my unique journey I have. So I am, there's this thing I heard Pastor Debola Dejikromi say,
Yeah.
in one of her interviews, I think when she turned 40 or something. And she was saying about how they say trust the process, trust, be a student of life.
Mhm, mhm.
And she said, that's not a complete sentence. It's be a student of your own life.
Mm.
Learn from your life. There are
Yeah.
some things that don't work for you and
Mhm,
it's working for your friend. Why are
mhm.
you trying to copy your friend?
Mm.
Be a student of your life. What are your systems and patterns that work for you? What are things,
Yeah.
and then learn from it and
Yeah.
cross correct.
Yeah.
Like, what are your patterns? What are your
Yeah.
seasons? Know
Yeah.
these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when you know those things, you know that,
This is just for
there,
me.
there came a time where I'm like, nah, this kind of person, is a good person, but nah, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
So it's that thing of know what are your boundaries, what are your guardrails. So once you set all of that in place, then from where you are in the middle, you then now start to check other things. Okay, um, for me, kindness, patience is 100%. So okay, and then other things that you would then want in a partner, because what I want in a partner is different from what you want in a
Yeah.
partner, right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
then you now begin to now sift out, but you need to
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Yeah.
you need to know yourself, know what
Mm-hmm.
works for you,
Yeah.
then now start to make those decisions after from there.
Awesome, awesome. Like I feel like I'm even me. I'm just stopping myself from doing this because every time you're always just dropping germs. So if you're just joining, thank you for joining. Today we're talking about the audacity to build a career abroad, and we're taking it as an excerpt from the chapter of my book How to Be Single, where I talked about getting a career and focusing on purpose. And Olusore has said a lot of things today. First of all, the dream, having a dream and a vision to go abroad, that has always been a thing. And another thing she said is affirmations. Like when you now decided, okay, this is what I want to do, you now start saying positive words to encourage that dream. There was something I was reading today in, I think it was in Habakkuk, where God, I think the parents was saying something that, oh, I've seen God has given me the answer. And when I saw God has given the answer, I was very excited. I was like, okay, what's going on? They said, God said I should write it down. It will not happen right now, but it will not be delayed. So sometimes God, so it brings me back to the timeline. Like, oh, God has given me the answer. Okay, write it down. It will not happen right now, but it will not be
Yeah.
delayed. I'm like, okay. So like sometimes you're going through this phase, you're going through this process, and God's hand is in it. So, and I like where you talk about understanding your pattern as well. In everything, in relationships, in jobs, understanding your pattern is very important because a lot of people move in victim mentality. And if you understand your pattern, you understand who you are, you understand that things are happening for a reason, or you're sensitive enough to understand like the environment. So I've really learned a lot. You talk about dreaming, having that dream. Okay, this is what I really want to do. Moving in alignment with people that have similar dreams, and then taking action towards that dream. Where you talk about your personal statements, searching, asking questions, searching, looking at, and if you're looking to go abroad, transition, no matter what the country is saying or the economy is saying, just know that it is possible if you want to do it. But you need to put faith into action. You need to make research. You need to watch videos. You need to ask people who have, been there. You can even reach out to people randomly online, because I know I do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I want something, I just say, oh, this person, I'll just reach out. Sometimes you get
LinkedIn
no.
is famous for that. Like,
LinkedIn
just
is
pop into
famous on
someone's
that.
LinkedIn DM, and they're always
Exactly.
happy to help.
Always happy to help. Sometimes the person will say no. You should not be afraid of the no's as well,
Mm.
because you will get a lot of no's. But don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's another thing that I have picked up in a lot of things that I said. And don't be afraid to change, because we mentioned about the career transition, how when you started and what you're doing now is not the same thing. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when you grew up in Nigeria and you're in a system like Nigeria, there's this sense of, oh, stable job, and that stable job is like, oh, I'm just doing this, I'm working
Not
now.
with the not with AI. I don't know if there's anything called stable job anymore.
Exactly, like you're just there, and you're just there. Oh yes, I have the job, but maybe in your heart of heart, you know that you need to be doing something different. So you shouldn't be afraid to do something different. So if you have questions, because we're about to end in like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we would have ended this live session. If you have questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. If you have anything to say at all, if anything that we've said, speak to you, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. So sure, I'm gonna ask my last question. For someone who is listening, who feels stuck, who wants to take audacious steps to move forward, what are some of the advices you would give? Because I know that you've transitioned and you're in a different phase in your life, and you'll be able to give advice. So what are the advices you would give to a person based on where you are right now in your journey?
And I'll pick up from one of the last things you said when you said you were reading the book of Habakkuk and
Yeah.
you saw that scripture, you had the answer.
Yeah.
You know, write the vision and make it plain,
Mm-hmm.
so that he that reads it might run with it. It will not tarry; it will surely speak. So you want to transition? You have the answer. It's in you. Because the Bible says, and if you're not a Christian, you need to find, I'm a Christian, so I draw heavily from my faith, very heavily from my faith. Bible says that God has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness, so we have it. So, so that scripture is correct to say that you have the answer,
Mm-hmm.
but do you have it like figured out completely? You may not,
Mm-hmm.
but at every point in time, write the vision,
Mm-hmm.
make it plain, as simple enough as your I want a job. I think it was a couple of months ago. Um, I was in a conversation with someone. I think I was asking the person, okay, what kind of job is it? I don't know. I'm like, okay, what do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Write what you know down.
Mm-hmm.
He that reads it might run with it. Research, research online, speak to people, you know, like now we have AI, speak, sit down with people that have walked the path.
Mm-hmm.
There's the thing with I can do
Yeah.
when that's why when people do stuff, when people do big things or they reach out to great heights, they've done it, but they've also given permission to others unknowingly to do,
Do it. Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So speak to people, like you need to wear humility as a cloak, like put it on. I don't know. You don't know. If you knew it, you would have done it. So you want to transition, you feel stuck, you don't know what to do, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to be in this job again.
Okay.
What do you want to do? I don't know. Let's start from there, right? And then you then now start to look inwards, like in the past, what are the things you've done that you've enjoyed? Write them down. Why did you enjoy it? Because it might not be what exactly you were doing that was giving you the fulfillment. It's you need to find out the why. It might be the people you were working with. So that gives you a sense, okay, this is the type of organization I want to work in. So that way, that you are being a student of your own life. You're picking things apart and you're creating a new whole. And if you continue doing that, then you talk to God, pray, read your Bible. God will lead you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He will lead you. It's Psalm 32, verse 8. He said, I will lead you in the way that you should go. Isaiah 41, do not be afraid. I am with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that I do. So I can't talk to you outside of my own experience because that's all I
Yeah.
have. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
any other personal experience. So write a vision, talk about it.
Yeah.
Put it on your lips. I'm
Yeah.
not saying if you're led to post on social media, but if
Mm-hmm.
you find yourself in a room and you feel like, oh, this person might have one or two
Mm-hmm.
things to add,
Mm-hmm.
hi, hello, da, 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 da. LinkedIn, hi, I'm in a transition phase. I'm not quite sure. Da, 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 da. 2 minutes, can I have a chat?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Put it on your lips. Put it on your lips. And then you find out that line upon line, precept upon precept, things will start to align. And then you look back and people say, wow, she did this. And it just feels like she planned it. It feels like she had everything all figured out. And then you just be there smiling inside your like little did they know that
There was a journey.
I was just moving. I was just moving.
Moving
But
by
if
faith.
you sit and you say, I'm waiting to be clear, I'm waiting for clarity, my sister, my brother, you're gonna be there for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you need to start taking these little actionable steps.
Mm-hmm.
Little steps, little steps, little steps, little steps. I mean, you want to land your dream job. You finally land your dream job. You've done it for 2 to 3 years. You are starting to feel this unrest again, this
Mm-hmm.
dissatisfaction. Okay, what do I do? I don't know. And then you are repeating the same process again, right? But feel safe plans, speaking to God about it, reading and researching, writing the vision, wearing humility as a cloak. Because humility will make you go and meet someone that's way younger than you to say, "Oh, you're savvy in this thing. Do you mind a few minutes for us to have a chat about it?" That's humility, right? So yeah, those are some feel safe.
Yeah.
And then the other specific instructions will come from doing these things, spending
Yeah.
time with God, reading your Bible, talking to people. Someone said to me, "Do you know that, when you were doing this thing, I saw you come alive in a way that you had never come alive before." Oh, okay. And then I sat down and I'm like, okay, why did I come alive? Why did I like this? And then I was taking notes. Then I think one final thing: be a student of your own life, of your own life,
Life.
of your own life, of your
Mm-hmm.
own experiences, of your own journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very important.
Yeah, I love that. Be a student of your own life. So that means you don't need to compare yourself with anybody. You're not in competition with anybody. Be a student of your own life, of your own journey. I love that. And I do agree with writing things down, because whenever I get anything, I just write it down. At the beginning of this year, it's funny because I wrote down a lot of things that I wanted to do. This event was one of the things I wanted to do. Publishing my book, doing the live event, transitioning in my job, a lot of the things that I wrote down. And there was a time when it felt like nothing was working and nothing was happening. I went back to what I wrote down at the beginning of the year, and I realized that 50% of the things I wrote down I am already doing. Because
Wow.
yeah, I just realized, because also writing things down helps you keep track as well. It helps you keep track of your life, it helps you keep track of moments. I went back to some of the things that I had written down in 2020, 2021, and I realized that the job I had in that moment were the things I had written down in 2021. The exact salary I was earning, the exact job, everything I had written down in that 2021 that I wanted was what I was living. So even though I had gotten to a moment where it was time to transition, I had lived my answered prayers. So it's very important. Writing things down helps you for documentation. Sandra says, thanks for creating such a powerful conversation. I'm walking away reminded to stay in motion, because that's where clarity shows up. Yes, stay in motion. And also, you don't need money to get things done. You don't need money to get started. Because that was one rut I was in. I always thought, oh, I don't have money now. Where will I do this? Where will I do that? But then, like, I mean, you're on the life now. We're having a conversation. I didn't have to spend anything. Do you get what I mean? I just reached out to my people. I just said, oh, I know Olusore. She's very outspoken. She's very passionate. Let me reach out to her. I she says I'm not doing. And I reached out to you. You said yes. There's so many people like that I've reached out to. So sometimes, when God gives you a vision, you don't need money to actually get it started. The money would come. I remember when I was saying things like, I'm very good at public speaking. I talk to people and everything, but why am I not getting those opportunities? But then I realized I wasn't also creating those opportunities for myself. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to start doing my own life events. And this year, I've done more life events. I've had an opportunity to talk to people because I started curating my own experiences. And now I have people reach out to me. Oh, I have an engagement. I would like you to be a part of it. That never used to happen before. And it was
Hmm.
because I decided not to sit down and fold my hands and wait for opportunities to come to me. I decided to, by the grace of God, create my own opportunities. And I understood that I didn't need money to do that. I didn't need money at all. All I just needed was guidance from, first of all, writing it down clearly and saying, this is what I want. Even when I needed to transition in my job as well, I started writing down, okay, I didn't know what I wanted to do first, but I wrote down the things that made me excited, the things I wanted, the things I did not want, the things I did not like. And eventually the answers began to come slowly and surely. So I have really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you
Same
so
here.
much. So, do you want to like tell us? I know you have like a non profit organization, and you have like things that you do. So, do you want to tell us about it? If there's anything you want people to know about, to join, to involve?
Interesting. Yeah, thank you for this. So first of all, I have a YouTube channel. It's my name on YouTube, Olusore, and I share
Okay.
stuff from time to time, and I have people come on. So feel free to um, subscribe to that.
Yes.
I run a non-profit Dreamboard initiative. I have
Mhm.
been at it for 10 years. Wow, that's some few.
Wow,
Yeah,
girl, you deserve kudos.
yeah. So what we do is to provide opportunities for underserved students in Nigeria,
Mm,
fund them through uni. So we have about, right now, we have 6 people,
wow.
yeah, on full funding
Oh, wow.
through uni.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and then we also do mentorships
Mm,
for undergraduates to kind of guide them through that journey. I also have a community for women or young ladies. I've also been at that for a, a little over 9 years,
wow.
running that community, just doing life together, growing, so that's more, well, we're not very public with that just yet, or not very public with that just yet,
Mm-hmm.
just been growing together. But yeah, connect with me. Yeah, I also host events.
Yeah.
That's something that and it came out from me speaking to someone. Do you know you speak very eloquently? I'm like, oh, I
Mm.
do. Yeah, yeah, you do. You should consider hosting events. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
And then an opportunity came and I took it, and another opportunity came and I took it. So,
wow.
yeah, so I host events as well, corporate events. If you
Mm.
have any of such, what
Please,
else do I
yeah.
do? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Oh, that's so
what
impressive. I
people
mean, to be
talking
doing
about.
something for 10 years, girls, man, that's really impressive, and I'm very excited for it. Please follow Olushure on Instagram. Go to our YouTube channel. If you want to be a part of the angel investors to fund young people, please do so. And if you have,
Please reach out to us at
please reach out.
Dreamboard Initiative
Yes,
or my DMs.
yes,
We definitely
yes.
work something out for you.
Yes, and we have young people here who probably want to go to school, need mentorship. Please reach out. You need people that will help you. You need to be surrounded by, people that have, share like minds and will make you see the possibility of it happening. So thank you so much, Olushure. You can also get the book How to Be Single. Follow
Yes.
me on Instagram. Check the link in my bio. Get the book How to Be Single. We're doing a promo this year for our 1 year anniversary. I actually wrote this book last year on my birthday last year.
Oh,
Yes, and
man.
I'm going to give a testimony about this book. When I decided I wanted to write the book, I think it was in, I think the year before, 2 years before that, and I didn't know what I wanted to write. I remember that day, the day I decided I wanted to write it, because this is actually my second book. I was in the restroom, I was crying at my job. I was frustrated. You know when they say when you finally get the big girl job and you are now a mess. I went to the restroom that day to cry. And I said, you know what, I need to write a book. But I didn't have any inspiration. I didn't know what to write. I didn't have the topic. I tried, but nothing came. And then last year the answer came. And what happened was I did a compilation of all the articles I had been writing over time.
Hmm.
That's this book. This book is a compilation of all the
Wow.
articles I have been writing over time. So by the time I was ready, I took down all the articles and started putting them into compilation. So that means that when God is giving you a vision, just do it. You don't really have to know the end game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that the end game was going to be a book. Anytime I
Hmm.
just get an idea, oh, write this topic, I'll write. Write this one, I'll write, and I will post it. I wasn't even getting, views or whatever. Maybe one person will comment, nobody will comment. That was fine. But by the time it was time to put a body of work together, it was a compilation of everything I had been writing. When I got the topic, I got the inspiration, I took from the compilation, and I have my book. So please buy the book. The
Please
e-copy.
do buy the book, How to Be
Yes.
Single.
Yes, the e-copy is 4,500 for this month only. Normally it goes for 5,000. You can buy it on seller, and then the physical copy goes for 7,000, but it's 5,000 this month alone. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olusore. This has been a very amazing session, and I'm so sorry that we took your time. This is supposed to be 1 hour, and
No
thank you,
worries.
Olusore, for staying with us. Thank you so
No
much.
worries.
So
No
yes,
worries.
we have this every month. So I usually keep the surprises. So every month I'm going to reveal who our next guest speaker is going to be. So just put it at the back of your mind that you're going to attend this session next month again. All right. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Sheree.
thank you, everyone. Have a good
Bye.
week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.